last weekend at Mini Stravaganza, in the flurry of previews, we got our first look at the Iggy units. That's right, the box of Iggy's, IG-88 and IG-11, coming at us. What we're talking about today. A huge shout out to our channel members for supporting what we do here. If you want to get involved with the channel and the Dice Commando community, please consider joining as a channel member. Remember, these videos are only possible with your support. You can show that support with a like, a subscribe, and by leaving us a comment and sharing your feedback. Community first, and go Commando. Hey there, Legion folks. Welcome back to another Lazy Legion Sunday here on Dice Commando. Thank you for tuning in. So that's right, we're talking Iggy Pop. No, we're talking the IG units. So I think when I first saw this, I was like, well, that's kind of weird that they're releasing them in the same box. And then I actually really started thinking about it in terms of like how their sprues and all that are going to work. And like it's probably easier for them to do it that way because, you know, if they have the sprues in there, they have a lot of shared pieces and stuff. Now, to be clear, the understanding is that you get both of these guys in here, right? But it was probably easier for them with like the different options and stuff to put them in the same box and just charge a little more for it. So yeah, so we're getting both IG-88 and IG-11 in that box, right? Which is pretty neat. Now, these guys are the same but very different, right? Which you would kind of expect, but also kind of not. So anyway, let's run through IG-88 first. So 110 points. This guy's Empire only, right? This is one of the OG bounty hunters. So we're slowly building that up, which is pretty cool. So armor 1. So okay. So first off, different upgrade slots on these guys, and one has AI and one, or sorry, not AI. One has programmed and one does not, which would then give some sort of AI, we would assume. So training slot, comm slot, gear slot. Armor 1, Arsenal 2, you would absolutely expect that. But interestingly enough, IG-11 does not have it. So IG-88 Arsenal 2, he has Bounty, Impervious, and he has Sharpshooter 1, which is a little surprising. I would think he maybe would have had Sharpshooter 2, but that's okay, still good. 5 health, 2 courage, Surge, 2 crit, and then look at all of those weapons at the bottom, right? So a Vibro Cleaver in melee, which has Pierce 1 for a rainbow. He has Pierce, so the modified E11 is black and 2 whites, Pierce 1 and Versatile, right? So he, again, that's really cool to have Arsenal and then the melee and Versatile, right? So he can punch and shoot, that's pretty cool. And then the modified DLT 28A, 1 to 4 range, 2 blacks and a white, and it does not appear to have any keywords there. So this guy's pretty much like a self-contained, like just looking at his card, he's a pretty self-contained unit, right? He's speed 2, he's armor, he can take 2 shots, 110 points. You don't necessarily need, you know, I'm just looking at this guy, and again, we don't know what the full suite is and all that stuff, I grant you that. But he looks like you could just plop him on the table for 110 points and be pretty happy with him, right? Kind of like, you know, Bossk, a lot of times I run Bossk without upgrades. I think this guy's, I think he's pretty good to just plop down on the table at 110 points. So, because you're throwing 3, you know, Pierce 1 at range 1 to 3 with, I mean, but again, if you combine your pools, right, then you're throwing a lot more. So I think he looks pretty good. I don't think, like, there's a lot of ifs on that. I mean, sure, we'll see the command cards. That all matters. Certainly, but very interesting. All right, so let's move down to IG-11. So IG-11 can go for both the Empire and the Rebels, right? IG-88 is just the Empire. So 105 points here, so he's less, but you do have to, you know, he's programmed, right? So that's where that's coming from, because, you know, it's going to have some cost associated with that. So the two are perfectly matched in terms of their health and courage. IG-11 only surges to hit, still has armor. He has Gunslinger, right? So this guy does not have Arsenal, but he has Gunslinger. So that's maybe better, maybe not. That's right. So after you perform a ranged, you can perform a ranged against a different unit, right? So that's actually pretty good, right? With the range 4, that's pretty good, I think. And then, but the range 1 to 3, right? So if you're comparing the two top down, right, they're basically the same in terms of their guns, right? So I'm talking just their ranged weapons here, right? They're the same, but you need to remember that IG-88, with his arsenal, he's throwing more dice. You can combine that pool with the Pierce. The IG-11 would have to use one of those weapons twice. So what you're hoping to do there is you're hoping to get your range 1 to 3 off so that you can get Pierce twice. But in that case, you're only rolling 1 black and 2 whites. So that's not quite, it's just not quite as good, right? Because you're not, it's really good if you hit, but you're not as guaranteed to hit. Anyway, you guys get it. So Sharpshooter 1 here as well, and then Impervious. So yeah, I mean, comparing these two, I think that's a very interesting comparison, right? To actually, and maybe we should sit down. We should sit down and probably do the math. I know smart people probably have done it, but it's not really worth doing that yet until we see the full suite. So, to me, it looks like IG-88's probably the preferred one because he can make sure that he's landing those hits. But there's certainly an argument for IG-11. IG-11 also has some very interesting things with him. So, nanny programming, when building an army, Grogu gains counterpart IG-11, right? So he could bring Grogu, which is pretty cool. And then he has AI dodge move. So, but that's free actually, right? So that one's not a 5-point. I do have to imagine there's, right, because he was the bad guy and then he was the good guy. So you have to imagine there's going to be like, and he can play both sides, right? Because he can go Rebel and Empire. So you have to assume there's going to be some sort of like programmed killer one for him as well, right? To where he can basically identify he can identify as good or bad, right? So yeah, that's very. I mean, that's basically it. That's all we have on these guys. We don't have the command cards. I do wonder, like, I think it would be kind of cool if the command cards were, like, interchangeable between the two of them. I mean, that probably wouldn't make a ton of sense because then you wouldn't be able to control the army and all that. So fair enough. But, you know, looking at these guys, there's obviously a lot more to come. We had seen these, you know, kind of preview spoiled, or at least their packaging, a couple months back. So, you know, they're going to be in that kind of later year, maybe beginning of 2023 wave, hopefully sooner rather than later. So I'd imagine we'll probably start seeing more info on these guys probably around late summer, early fall, on, you know, the various social media. So anyway, pretty excited about. I think I'm probably going to pick up this box because I mean, building out all my, you can only run so many freaking bounty hunters, right, in my Empire army, but it feels cool to get them all. So yeah, this one's looking real good. What do you think? Are you guys looking forward to this one? Do you agree? Do you think do you agree with me? Is IG-88, at least right now, does he look better than IG-11? Let me know. Let me know if you agree, if you disagree. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, folks. If nothing else, go Commando. Thank you.